So why entomology? And this is a question I get asked a lot from families or friends who just don't really understand why I would choose to study insects. And I thought the best way to answer this question was through a speciescape, where the size of the organism represents its diversity. And as you can see, the fly, representing insects, is huge compared to some of the more beloved birds, mammals, and fish. And the reason for this is because insects make up 80% of all the species in the world, with over 1 million different insect species. So why entomology? More like, why not entomology? Their diversity is second to none, and they play so many different roles in our society and in our environment, ranging from just a common household pest to huge impacts in our health and in our agriculture. And there's so much potential for research there that there are actually institutions and museums that are dedicated to preserving their natural history and filling these research gaps. For example, the Natural History Museum in England is one of the oldest insect museums, where they have over 30 million insects that have been collected over a span of 300 years. And one really important collection is actually the Sloan collection, provided by Sir Hans Sloane, and is considered the oldest complete insect collection in the world. And this collection was actually the basis for forming and founding the British Museum, and was eventually moved to the Natural History Museum during its establishment in 1881. And there's a lot of other notable figures throughout scientific history that have collections based in this museum, such as Alfred Wallace, Charles Darwin, and Carl Linnaeus. As for Canada, we actually do have our own insect collection, too, a world-renowned one in Ottawa at the Canadian National Collection of Insects, Arachnids, and Nematodes, and it's one of the 5 largest collections in the world, with over 18 million specimens and about 151,000 described species. And it was actually this place that inspired me to pursue graduate studies and hopefully a career in entomology, because I worked here as an assistant curator for about 4 years, which then led me to the Lyman Entomological Museum, which is more local. It's actually just across the street at Macdonald campus, where they have nearly 3 million specimens, and is the largest Orthoptera collection in all of Canada. So it's mostly grasshoppers, crickets, locusts, things like that. But we do actually have a beetle that's probably collected by Charles Darwin himself, which is really cool. And we just got 2 big donations, mostly butterflies, moths, beetles, true bugs. Some are over there for viewing later, if you'd like. So clearly the Lyman Museum has a lot of cool specimens. And there's a lot of cool research that's going on there in my lab, ranging from biogeography to phylogenetics to pollinator networks and agriculture. Which brings me to my research, which is in Quebec cranberry farms and pollinators. So Quebec is actually one of the largest producers of cranberries in the world. And similar to many other crops, farmers heavily rely on renting managed honeybees for their pollination services and to maximize yields. But of course, due to climate change, agricultural intensification, diseases, a lot of these honeybee populations are in decline. So the costs to rent them are rising, but the demand is still high. So then, what's the solution here? Well, we actually already have a lot of free pollination services provided for us, all around us, by our native pollinators. So my research is sort of focused on understanding how their unique cranberry agricultural practices are impacting these populations. So now I'm going to take you through the steps of what it takes to do entomological research. So step 1, of course, you have to collect your specimens. You have to go out into the field. And there are multiple ways that you can collect insects, but these are the 3 that I chose. So we have transects, where you take a butterfly net and you just walk back and forth on the farm collecting whatever you see. And then there's blue vein traps and pan traps, which are really colorful. so then the pollinators are attracted to them, and then they fall into a deadly concoction of soapy water. And then everything's collected into 95% ethanol. And then step 2 begins a long process of drying, pinning, and IDing, oh my, all the specimens that you collected in the field. So we use this critical point dry machine to remove all that ethanol so that they're ready to be pinned and labeled. And then I use a lot of dichotomous keys and field guides to identify everything to the species or genus level. Now, step 3, analyses. For me personally, I collected and analyzed about 3,000 wild bees and flower flies, and these are some of the most common ones. So there's a bombus species, bumblebees. There's Lacioglossom species, which is sweat bees. And then there's Toxomerus geminatus, which are eastern calligrapher flies. And maybe the 3,000 number sounds really big, but fun fact, I actually met someone who collected and analyzed over 20,000 insects for her research. But of course, this varies depending on what you're researching and the collection methods you use. But trust me, the 3,000 is still a lot, but 20,000 is impressive. And then step 4, what does this all even mean? Like, why am I doing any of this? Well, by directly working with the farmers, hopefully my research will provide like a research-based guide for them on how their agricultural practices are impacting these pollinators they're so reliant on. And a lot of these farmers are really interested in the outcomes of the research, so we're hoping it's like the first steps to a more sustainable cranberry industry for the future. And then, of course, as fun as research is, it's also important to highlight all the fun experiences that you gain in between all that. So there's a lot of traveling for field work, and then also conferences, either regional, national, or international as well. And then you just meet so many cool people and have like really silly moments in between. Entomology is a really interesting field. You just meet really cool, weird people. And maybe that's not for you, and that's okay. I understand insects isn't for everyone, but what can you do then? Well, it's kind of spring, and summer's just right around the corner, so it's the perfect time to start thinking about what you want to plant in your gardens. And I really want to stress the importance of planting native flowers to help promote our native pollinators. And here are a few resources. I hope you'll take into consideration. So locally, there's the Morgan Arboretum, their Blossom Corner, Macdonald campus also has a pollinator meadow. Go visit them, maybe draw some inspiration of what to plant. Mac Market and some local plant nurseries have transplants and can provide a lot of great resources. Maybe you have some family that's outside of Quebec. There's the Ontario Invasive Plant Council, where they provide like native alternative plants to replace the more non-native plants that people usually have. There's the Canadian Seed Library and Bee City, Canada, which are great resources as well. Some organizations that I really love are the Pollinator Partnership and the Xerces Society for Invertebrate Conservation. They have a lot of programs that are dedicated to pollinator conservation. And specifically, the Pollinator Partnership, they have a lot of guides for places across North America on native plants and how to plant them. They even have one specifically for Quebec, so definitely recommend. And then, of course, Pollinator Week. It's a little over a month, and June 16th to the 22nd. So go out, have a nice nature walk, maybe visit the Arboretum, and just celebrate pollinators. Thank you.